girls. We are going to be talking about my first class with hypnobirthing. I got a bunch of stuff here, so I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible, so please bear with me. This is my birth. This is my my way of coping with what society calls pain. And please don't judge what I do or what I'm talking about in this video. If you have nasty comments, of course I'm going to delete them because I find that you know, every birth is different and everybody goes through it differently. First off, what you get when you do any type of hypnobirthing classing is you get the manga method book, hypnobirthing book. It's pretty good, 300 pages of information. This talks about it goes as far back as like the 1914, I think. It talks about like the history of birth and what society has told us that birth is supposed to be painful. I mean, there's even stories of the author that she talks about her birth of her 3 children and the things that happened to her and the things that in her last pregnancy that she didn't want to happen, that she had to really make clear to her doctor, you know, kind of embracing your birth, that it's not a traumatic experience and anything like that. So if you guys want to know like more in depth, of course I don't want to have this video be like 20 minutes long because I'm telling you all these things. I'm only just going to tell you points that I did in my first class, and then next week I'll do my second class, and I have 5 classes total, so I'll do a total of 5 videos on this. Please give me your feedback, and if you're watching this you might already be interested in this kind of things. So you get a book, you get a CD that comes in the back. I already took it out, so you can't even see it, but it's a CD, 2 tracks on it. One is about like relaxation techniques. There is one about like when you're actually in the birthing process, laboring and stuff, and it's all about just affirmations and sounds and stuff like that that the person gives you. And then the class that I went to, I don't know if she just made this on her own. This is another CD. Again, it's only 2. There's birthing affirmations and rainbow relaxation. One thing that this thing says at the bottom, if you decide to actually do this, which I'm sure you'll know anyways, is don't do this while you're in a moving vehicle, because it actually, this isn't about hypnotizing, even though it is called hypnobirthing. I would say it's more about a deep relaxation and being able to get into a state of calmness, which I guess does associate with hypnotizing, but there's not someone standing over you, you know, wiggling the pendulum in front of your face telling you to count back from 10 or anything. There's nothing like that at all. It's actually really relaxing. I did the first exercise this morning. They tell you to listen to the CD every day. It takes about 20 to 22 minutes and just goes through from like head to toe, like making sure your body's all relaxed, and then talks about different things to help you relax, colors, and stuff like that. So I've just done the first video, so I'm not sure what the other, the first track, so I don't know what the next tracks are, but I'm sure they're really interesting. I did listen to one for about 3 or 4 minutes, and it actually involves your partner, which is really cool, because if you want your partner to be obviously a part of this experience with you, and talks about that track is all about the love that you have for your child even though it's not born yet, and how you're able to have a connection with the baby even though they're not physically there. So I'm going to actually have to see if my husband wants to do that this weekend. So that's what you get with that. You get those, and then this girl that we went to, she gave us like a handouts of a whole bunch of things, stuff about like things in our area and stuff too. So this has a lot of information as well, just different things about labor, you know, different stages of labor and birth, and all that kind of stuff. So the first class was really interesting. There was 8 people total that were there, and we ended up introducing ourselves, and it was actually kind of a cool exercise. She had us each say our name, our guest date. She doesn't call it a due date because really most people don't go on their due date. And then you ask how your pregnancy's going, your fears, and then they have you talk about your husband or your partner and your birth companion and tell them, you know, what you love about them, what you need from them in your labor and delivery process, which was really cool because I got emotional, like most pregnant women do. So I started crying because I was talking about how awesome it is to be pregnant and how I think it's such a blessing and a joy in our family and all that mushy stuff. But it was really interesting hearing other people's. It was interesting hearing the same fear through everybody. Now again, I should explain that majority of people that do hypnobirthing do not get epidurals, do not get any pain medication whatsoever. So if you're going to these classes, majority of the people there, actually I think all of them there, will not be getting an epidural because the whole thing about hypnobirthing is dealing with the pain, or the so-called pain that society tells us that we get. So after we did that, she just kind of briefly talked about hypnobirthing and what it kind of entailed, what society and culture, you know, in the Western society tells us, what people kind of do in the Eastern society and how different it is. We tend to think that birthing has to be a painful experience, has to be scary, has to have fear in your mind. And she talked about you know, how to get over that kind of thing. So this was kind of like an introduction class, but it also, I mean, she did talk about a lot of things. She went up through some of the handouts with us. The one that I found was the most interesting was she talked about oxytocin and different type of things that happen in our body when we're going through you know, labor, delivery, all that kind of stuff. This whole process is about, you don't need to have drugs to deal with the pain because the pain doesn't exist if you don't let it exist. So I know I might get people saying to me like, you don't know what you're talking about, you've never had a child, you don't know how painful it is. No, I've never had a child. No, I've never experienced that. But what I have experienced from people telling me and me watching lots and lots of videos here on YouTube is that what I see the most of, or what I hear about, is that they were terrified, that they were scared, that they felt, you know, all these people were poking and prying on me and I didn't know what to do and I was freaking out and I couldn't handle it and I just needed that epidural because there was just too much going on and I was freaking out and the pain was too much. So in my birth, what I want to do is obviously I'm going to do a birth plan video for you guys later on. But of course, as you may know from me just telling you this video, is I want to have a very relaxed, calm, secure, enjoyable birth. I want my child to come into this world relaxed. Of course, I don't know what's going to happen the day of. I don't know if I'm going to be, obviously my number one fear like everybody else is that I'm going to have this, I'm not going to be able to use these tools because I'm going to be so focused on the fact that I'm afraid it's going to hurt. We all know that some things happen, like your brain takes over your body and it tells you that you're scared, you're scared, you're scared. If you've ever had a panic attack like I've had, or an anxiety attack, you can definitely relate to this, where you get that fight or flight mode where you start to think, oh my God, something's happening to me, I'm hurt, I need to, like, you know, get me out of this place, I'm scared, I'm, you know, all that kind of thing. And those are natural feelings that you have, but this type of exercises that they have you do and just reading a lot about this kind of stuff shows you ways on how to cope with that to help you cope with the pain. So when you have fear, you have pain. And if you don't have fear, you're most likely only going to have pressure. So I know that might sound crazy to especially a lot of you girls that already have children, and you're probably totally going to agree with me. But like I said in the beginning, please don't give me nasty comments. Everybody's birth is different. Everybody's experience is different. And I have watched a lot of women that have said in their videos, I had the most beautiful birth that I could possibly imagine. And it's all because I let myself surrender and have no fear that this is going to hurt and that this is going to be a traumatic event. Because if you make it traumatic, it will be traumatic. Now, there is those things that happen where you're giving birth and something happens and there's the cord wrapped around the baby's neck a whole bunch of times and then they have to hurry up and get the baby out. I totally understand these concepts, and I think that of course things need to be happening. Of course, you might need a C-section if there's something wrong, again, with the baby's stuck or anything like that. Now, my biggest fear that I had suggested to everybody there that some people had agreed with was the fact that I'm afraid this baby's going to be big. In the last 2 days, I'll talk about it in my week 31, I have gotten a lot bigger in my belly. You might not be able to tell right now, but I have grown an inch in 2 days. And I was like, holy shit, getting huge. So I'm afraid he's going to be a very large baby. So I'm hoping that he wants to kind of not be that big, but you never know, right? So that was my worry, that if he's so big, it's going to be so painful. And she talks about, you know, your uterus and what happens in your uterus. I'm sorry, this is getting long. I'm going to try to cut this down as much as I can. She talks about your uterus and what happens in it. So I will show you. Oh, these are your different uterus layers, I should say. The outer longitude muscle fibers, that's these on the top. Then there's these ones, which are the middle muscle layers interwoven with blood vessels. And then you have this one at the bottom, that is the intercircular muscle layers found mostly on the lower part of the uterus. So the really cool thing about this is that the ones on the top will grab the ones at the bottom and pull them up. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but when you think about contractions, you think, from what I've been told from a lot of women, is that it feels like really tight. There's a lot of pulling and stretching, and it just hurts a lot. So this is what is happening. It is taking these muscle fibers that are running up and down and grabbing these ones that are running side to side. So it pulls them up. And in pulling them up, which I didn't even know this is insane that this actually happens. In pulling them up, what actually happens is this is what opens your cervix. Now, I knew that your cervix thinned and opened and all that stuff, but now this is going to sound stupid. I actually thought that your cervix just disappeared. It just thinned out, and that was it. And I was really, really surprised to know that this actually happens. So she had said that these muscles pull up these muscles, and every contraction they pull up higher and higher and higher, and then when you're fully dilated, these muscles then push the baby out. Now again, you might completely disagree with me or hear something else. Like I said in the beginning, this is just what I've heard and what I've been told, and I think it sounds correct to me. So that's pretty much it, what we did. We did watch a little bit of hypnobirthing births. That if you have a chance to go on YouTube and just type in hypnobirthing home births or hypnobirthing births in general, it is insane how relaxed these women look. And they usually actually only get that, like, where they look like they're either in pain or they're like doing a lot of stuff, is right at delivery, and that's when the baby has fully crowned. So, and what that doesn't take very long to push them out once they're at that moment, right? So I would highly suggest going and reading some information about this kind of stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything negative about it. I mean, if you could try it, you could try it. Here where I live, the price ranged around $300 for 5 sessions. I don't know how much Lamaze classes are, anything like that. But I was really interested in doing this way before I even got pregnant, and so was my husband. So really gonna try to cut it down. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this first hypnobirthing class that I went to. I absolutely loved it. It was 3 hours long, but totally worth it. We did get a couple breaks, so that was nice. And I'm so excited to go to the next one and see what that one entails. And those are every Tuesday, so every Tuesday or Wednesday, every Wednesday or Thursday you'll get a video on how it went. So hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.